Good afternoon, folks. I have a special request here, and I'm going to do this video a little bit differently. We're talking about converting decimals to mixed numbers. This was a request from a student, so I hope you're watching this and writing some stuff down. Don't be afraid to pause and take some notes or try to figure some stuff out yourself. There are 4 examples that I'm going to show today, and there are 2 on the screen right now, so feel free to pause if you want to try them out first, and then I'm going to solve them right now. The hint that I want to give for converting any kind of decimal to any kind of fraction or mixed number is what you see on the screen. The way you say it is the way that you will write it. So the way that you will say it is the way that you will write it, and this is no different than what we've talked about before. So the way you say is the way you're going to write it. No difference. How am I going to say this phrase right here? This is 7 and 25 hundredths. Now I don't say 7.25. I say it's 7 and 25 hundredths. The decimal is your and there. So I'm going to write that just as I said it. 7 and 25 hundredths. If I write it as 7 and 25 hundredths, I can write that in simplest form. I have to do a little bit of simplification there. I can divide both values by 5 because they both fit the 5 rule. They both end in either 5 or 0. So when I divide both of them by 5, I come up with an answer of 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 100 divided by 5 is 20, and I'm left with an answer of 7 and 5/20ths. Now you may be wondering if that's in simplest form, and it's actually not. So I would have to go one more time. I can divide these both by 5 again because they both end in either 5 or 0. So I would do that one more time, and I know that my work is trailing up here. Sorry about that. But I'm going to divide both of those by 5, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is hopefully 4. And my answer should actually be 7 and 1/4. 7 and 1/4. If you can't see that, let me zoom in a little bit for you. And there you go. Might want to pause, write that stuff down, and I'll bring it back up here. Okay. Hey, Mr. Bell. Alright, looking at the other example, we have 3 and 11 hundredths. 3 and 11 hundredths. So the way you say it is the way you got it. The way you say it is the way you write it. So I'm going to write this as 3 and 11 hundredths. I know that's a little small, so let me erase that. I'll just write it again real big. 3 and 11 hundredths. I don't see any common factors between 11 and 100, so I'm going to leave that alone and call that simplest form. So let's take a look at the other 2 examples here. I'm going to move the paper up a little bit, so if you have to pause, go ahead and pause. I guess not. Let's move it up a little bit here. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. And we have 2 other examples here. Fix my camera here so that it doesn't fall. And we have 10 and 7 hundredths. I have 1 and 6 tenths. I'll give you a moment to figure that out. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause, and I'm going to move on in a few seconds. Alrighty. So I'm going to start this by writing the whole number. Remember, the whole number is the value that's before the decimal point, to the left of the decimal point. So I'm going to write that as 10, big ugly 10. You can't see that, so let me bring it down a little bit. So I'm going to write that as 10, and then I have 7 hundredths. So I'm going to write that as 7 over 100. Do you see anything that needs to be simplified there? Good, I don't either. Let's move on. We have, move this over just a little tiny bit. We have 1 and 6 tenths. So that's 1 and, I just said 6 tenths. Can that be simplified? I believe so as well. So let's divide those both by something. Looks like they're both even numbers, so they're both divisible by 2. Oops. And 6 divided by 2 sounds like 3. 10 divided by 2 sounds like 5. And 1, we got to carry that over. Don't forget that. It's not just the fraction, but it's also containing that whole number. Sorry about that. Let me turn it over for you so you can see it. And overall, the answer is going to be 1 and 3/5. So like I said before, make sure that you are saying it and then also writing it. Say it, then write it. Have a good day.